Welcome back to Midnight Disclosure, where the night sky is never merely empty space, but a painting for secrets to be unveiled. Tonight, you and I shall travel into a question as wide as the universe itself. When a comet blazes across the skies, burning like an ethereal messenger, might it be more than mere rock and ice? Might it be alien? Consider it the comet. Mankind has observed them for thousands of years. At times, they were regarded as harbingers of disaster. At times, they were enjoyed as cosmic firecrackers. But always, they bore an air of mystery. Since comets do not belong to our tidy universe, they hail from the dark, frigid peripheries of the solar system, from a region so remote we hardly know how to conceive of it. When one suddenly appears, glowing green or gold against the black, it feels like a visitor, an intruder, arriving from beyond. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what they are. The idea sounds strange at first. After all, science tells us comets are just dirty snowballs, frozen dust and ice that vaporize when they come near the sun. But let's slow down and look closer. Comets are perfect vessels for secrets. They pass billions of years drifting untouchable in the dark. They conceal their cores within icy shells. They transform as they travel, glowing brighter, casting tails of gas and dust like veils. And occasionally, they do strange things that do not make any sense at all. That is where our show begins tonight, not with science fiction, but with actual astronomy. Because in recent decades, astronomers have begun to realize that not all comets do what they're supposed to. Some speed up, like they're being propelled by an internal force. Some turn in ways gravity cannot account for. And one, specifically, sparked a controversy that persists to this day. Controversy over whether a cometary visitor could have been the first confirmed sighting of extraterrestrial technology. But first we get to that point. Let us go back a bit. Picture yourself reclining under the night sky thousands of years ago, long before the existence of telescopes or satellites. The world is hushed. The stars are fixed. And then abruptly, there it is. A burst of fire streaks across the sky. A comet. You do not know what it is. You merely know it appeared out of nowhere, and that its light appears to be alive. For prehistoric societies, comets were god messengers. Comets were noted with precision by the Chinese as portents of change. The Babylonians inscribed them onto tablets. Fire serpents sweeping across the heavens were the terms used by the Mayans and the Aztecs. Comets always held significance, as if the cosmos itself had bent low to whisper something. Jump to the Renaissance. Galileo viewed comets as objects in space, not simply atmospheric events. Edmund Halley computed that comets were back, forecasting one that visited every 76 years. Comets came into the world of science with the modern age. We understood they were members of our solar system, frozen remnants of its formation. And yet, even with this information, comets would not settle down. They continue to come unexpectedly. They continue to shine with otherworldly hues. They still vanish back into darkness, leaving us to wonder what secrets they carried with them. And then, in 2017, something happened that brought those ancient questions back with more force than ever before. A telescope in Hawaii spotted an object hurtling through our solar system. At first, astronomers thought it was just another comet, but then they realized it was moving far too fast to have originated here. This was not a typical comet. It was the first recognized interstellar visitor. They nicknamed it ʻOumuamua, a Hawaiian term meaning scout or messenger from afar. Oumuamua was small, only a few hundred meters long, but it was unlike anything we'd ever seen. It didn't shine like a comet. It had no tail. Its shape, inferred from its brightness, was bizarre, long and thin, maybe cigar-like, maybe flat like a pancake. Stranger still, its path didn't match what gravity alone would predict. It seemed to accelerate slightly, as though something were propelling it. That's when the rumors started. Might Oumuamua be something other than a boulder? Might it be alien technology? Maybe a probe? A spent sail? Or even wreckage from a civilization that predated our own? Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb famously claimed so. That the most straightforward explanation for its unusual antics was that it wasn't all natural. Others preferred more esoteric natural explanations, such as hydrogen outgassing or cracked cometary ice. But the reality is that nobody truly knows. And so, under the cover of darkness, we come back to the question, when a comet is seen, shining and quiet, how can we be sure what it truly is? Perhaps it's merely ice and dust. Perhaps, inside, there is something more, a machine, a message, a remnant of a planet we've never known. Let your imagination wander now, as we consider what it would be if comets were something greater than wandering phenomena of nature. Imagine someone comes to Earth, not at random, but on purpose. Its trajectory is too calculated, its timing too coincidental. It comes close, as if observing. Within, under that ice crust, perhaps there is a very old probe, waiting until it feels the heat of our sun. Perhaps it awakens, transmitting signals we confuse for static, or streams of energy we have no way of deciphering. Astronomers have long speculated whether comets might be life seeds. The panspermia theory posits comets bring the raw materials of biology, amino acids, frozen bacteria, even DNA strands that might survive in their frozen coffins for millions of years. When a comet impacts a planet, it might introduce those ingredients, igniting life where none previously existed. If that is the case, then each comet that we observe is not merely a piece of rock, but possibly a messenger of life itself. Some scientists even hypothesize Earth's oceans, and possibly life itself, started off with comets. So the terrifying idea is this: if comets may be capable of carrying life, why not intellect? What if some are just chance happenings of dust and ice? What if they are vessels, cosmic arcs constructed centuries ago by beings that are long extinct? A comet makes an ideal cover. It can move undetected for centuries. It can move through solar systems without suspicion. And then, when the moment is ripe, it can unveil what it conceals. Tonight, we sink deeper into this enigma. You're on the ground, lying beneath the stars, the crisp dark enveloping you. You're breathing slow, your eyelids heavy. Visualize the boundless black sea of space above you, sprinkled with stars. Out there are millions of unseen comets that float quietly by. Some are ancient. Some never will come near our sun. But one will drift closer, one day, radiating softly as it starts to burn. You see its tails sweep across the sky, a rivulet of starlight. But in your heart you ask, is this ice and dust? Or is this a message, a vessel, a secret from a world beyond, speaking softly through the emptiness of space? As you float, keep in mind, the night sky is filled with travelers, and sometimes, the difference between a comet and an emissary is but what we are willing to believe. Comets are from two areas at the outer reaches of our solar system: the Kuiper Belt, a disk of icy bodies outside Neptune, and the Oort cloud, a huge spherical shell that could hold trillions of comets. These comets travel quietly in the darkness, sometimes for billions of years, before the most subtle pull of gravity encourages them to head towards the sun. 90% of the time, they come quietly, a streak across the sky, a weak tail, an intruder that is gone just as quickly. But now and then, a comet surprises us. It acts strangely, it moves erratically, or it bears signatures that make us take notice. One such instance is Comet 67P, Churyumov, the destination of the European Space Agency's Rosetta mission. When Rosetta touched down in 2014, scientists were amazed at what they discovered. The comet was bizarrely shaped like a rubber duck, with two lobes attached by a neck as thin as a thread. Its surface was dark, nearly black, and it absorbed light rather than reflected it. Even more bizarre, Rosetta found evidence of organic molecules, building blocks of life on its surface. Amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. 2. Some. It verified the panspermia theory that comets might carry the seeds of life and plant them across planets. But for others, it raised more sinister questions. If comets are capable of carrying ingredients for life, then what if they are capable of carrying something engineered? What if life itself, or the devices to deliver it, could be concealed in cometary ice shells? Consider Halley's Comet, perhaps the most celebrated of them all. Every 76 years it reappears, shining and in. But when Halley last streaked across the heavens in 1910, the world panicked. Astronomers reported that Earth would fly through its tail, and that its gases held cyanogen, a deadly toxin. Newspapers went berserk, foretelling the death of millions. Folks purchased comet pills and comet masks. The world did not come to an end, naturally, but the fear was genuine. Why? For one, humanity feels deep inside that comets are not ordinary. They are omens, bearers of something immense. They remind us that the universe is unstable, that danger may not come from Earth, but from the heavens themselves. Now, let's go back to Oumuamua, the interstellar visitor, of 2017, when it came out. Scientists were not able to identify it. It was initially referred to as an asteroid. Later, due to its unusual acceleration, it was reclassified as a comet. But unlike any comet ever recorded, it did not have a tail, no visible out. It was quiet, sleek, and impossibly fast. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb's proposal that it could be alien technology was astounding. He theorized that it could be a light sail, a lightweight sheet pushed along by starlight. Such technology, while advanced, is possible even by human means. We are testing solar sails already. If humanity can hope for such, might not another civilization, millions of years our senior, have constructed them long ago? Most scientists resisted presenting natural explanations. But Loeb's question remains like an ectoplasmic shadow. If something really alien went by, would we even know it? Or would we rationalize it away until it was gone into the darkness? And this is where the dread insinuates itself. For comets and comet-like visitors do not linger. They streak by, disappear once more, and leave unanswered only questions. If they were emissaries from another world, we may already have lost them. There is a still stranger theory, one that sends shivers down the spines of those who dwell upon it too long. What if comets themselves are probes? Not in disguise, but engineered. A comet is the ideal traveler. It's frozen, hide shields, whatever is inside. Its lengthy orbit permits it to coast silently for 1,000 years or more. It can crash onto planets, deposit materials, and then disappear once more into the cosmos. Other theorists propose that comets might be von Neumann probes, replicating machines that were sent by ancient civilizations. The probes may masquerade as natural bodies, quietly reproducing, seeding systems with information, machines, or even living organisms themselves. If this is the case, the comets that we observe may not be random in nature at all. They could be a piece of an ancient, lost program continuously running long after its authors have disappeared. Let's slide in closer now, dreamer, to something more personal. Picture yourself lying in bed as a kid, staring out your window and seeing a comet streaking through the night. To you, it's magic, wonder, beauty. You don't care what science refers to it as. You only know it feels alive. Now, suppose that comet is not just light. Suppose it's a messenger, with something, intangible particles, signals, even intentions traversing your atmosphere and tickling your skin at night. You'd never know. You could never know. And something would have been altered anyway. This is the nature of the comet mystery. They come, they brush against us in ways we cannot yet comprehend, and they disappear again. What they deposit can take years, or even lifetimes to say. Science already suggests this. In 2001, scientists reported discovering living bacteria in our upper atmosphere, 40 kilometers above ground, where there is no life supposed to be. Some have speculated that they could have traveled on comets. In 2018, scientists found that some amino acids can be created in conditions similar to those of the building blocks of life are out there, floating on ice and dust. But if seeds of life travel on comets, maybe intelligence does. As well might some long-extinct alien civilization have imprinted wisdom upon comets' encrypted messages. DNA templates, or nanomachines poised to spring to life under the proper circumstance. Might comets be couriers, not merely vagabonds? It sounds like science fiction, and yet, as Carl Sagan once said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. What if the evidence is already here, streaking across our skies every few decades, and we just haven't learned how to read it yet? There's another angle, one even darker. Others think that comets are not messengers of life, but portents of doom. Comets did impact Earth before. It is thought that a comet impact led to the extinction of the mammoths. Other people claim that comet pieces brought about the Younger Dryas cooling event, 12,000 years ago, which remapped human civilization. If that is the case, then comets are not only possible bearers of life, they are bearers of death. And if we envision a civilization that can control them, direct them, weaponize them, the fear intensifies. For what finer weapon could there be than a comet knocked ever so slightly from course, intended to smite an unsuspecting world? A comet doesn't require missiles or lasers. A comet merely drops, and when it drops, worlds ignite. So are they messengers of life, or weapons of death? Perhaps both. Perhaps neither. But as you float further into sleep, let the thought stay with you. When you look up and see a comet shine in the sky, you're not seeing dust and ice. You're seeing something old, older than humankind. Something that has come farther than all of human history put together. And perhaps, hopefully, you are seeing something that was never meant to be seen. Picture a civilization 1,000,000 years more advanced than our own. Their civilization might already be extinct. Their cities could be in ruins. But before they faded from existence, they launched messages encrypted in the soul vehicles that had a chance to endure for millennia. Comets rather than radio signals, rather than probes, which crash. They selected comets' natural vessels, shrouded in ice, that can wander through galaxies. Within them, they seeded codes, inscribed on crystalline forms, nanomachines in dust, or genetic templates, ready to plant a new planet. Should such a comet arrive on Earth, would we recognize it? Or would we label it normal, observe it smolder, and allow its secrets dissipate into air? Now, let's consider a prospect that sends shivers down scientists' spines as much as it does dreamers. Artificial acceleration. When Oumuamua hurtled through our solar system, it changed course, ever so slightly, accelerating like something inside was pushing. No gas, no tail, no rationale. To some, it was merely sunlight nudging a thin form, but to others, it was something else. What if the object was not a comet, but a probe masquerading as one? What if it was surveying us, or perhaps just passing by on its way to somewhere else? And if so, how many have passed previously overlooked because we never even considered looking? Actually, our sky is crawling with visitors. Thousands of comet-sized objects stream by unseen, too feeble, too tiny, each year. What if one of them wasn't what it appeared to be? There's another fear, one even older and weightier. The fear of comet impacts. Through the ages, comets have been linked to disaster. Ancient Rome wrote of burning objects prior to plagues. Comets appeared before the Black Death, the 1908 Tunguska event that leveled Siberian forests was potentially a comet fragment. Scientists warned that if a large comet struck Earth, it would be far worse than an asteroid. Comets move faster, hit harder, and often come without warning. Unlike asteroids with predictable orbits, comets can appear suddenly, from the deep dark of the Oort cloud, giving us little time to react. Now think about it. What if such a strike weren't natural? What if somewhere out there was a civilization that could steer comets? Nudge them just slightly, sending them on a collision course with planets they wanted to annihilate. A comet is the ultimate weapon, silent, invincible, posing as natural. If aliens ever wanted to wipe us out, they wouldn't require lasers. They would simply need to wait. But perhaps, dreamer, the most chilling notion is not destruction, but contact. Some experiencers and abductees say they have been presented with visions, images of blazing things hurtling through space, oceans churning, skies filled with blackness. Were these warnings? Or they intended to inform us that the comets in our sky are not naturally occurring, that they have purpose? Others talk about telepathic communications in close encounters, calling us to save our world, to defend our resources, not to destroy ourselves. Are these messages connected with the comets? Might these beings employ comets as their signatures, their calling cards, their means of announcing, "We are here. We have always existed"? Let your imagination move on a step further now. What if comets are not life carriers, nor weapons, nor probes, but observers? What if within them are machines older than us, passively listening, watching? What if each time a comet comes by, it collects data about our radio broadcasts, our pollutants, our technology, and then moves away, taking our secrets to the stars? The concept is chilling because it suggests that we might already be observed, we might already be familiar, and maybe, when the observers return, they will no longer remain quiet. Even our legends will contain traces of this reality. The ancients used to interpret comets as signs because, perhaps, they were. Perhaps they remembered more than we know. Perhaps comets have always been bearers of messages, their significance partially lost over centuries. Science reminds us that comets made our world, that they might have delivered water to our planet, that they might have borne the ingredients of life itself. But what science does not tell us, what science cannot yet tell us, is whether the ingredients were random or selected. If we came from the comets, then, in a sense, we are the children of the stars. Our blood, our bones, our breath, all might go back to frozen messengers traveling in the dark. And if that's so, then maybe the aliens we question are not strangers. Maybe they're our cousins, our kin, born of the same cometary seeds, seeded on innumerable worlds. Tonight, as you inhale slowly and allow sleep to sweep you up, keep this in mind. The next time a comet blazes across the night sky, you are not merely observing ice incinerating. You are observing something older than humanity, older than history, older than the Earth itself. It might be natural, it might be extraterrestrial, it might be both, but it is always anything but ordinary. Comets are reminders that the universe is full of mysteries, that we are not first to gaze up and question, and will not be last. And so we end, dreamer, at the edge of mystery. Perhaps a comet is simply a comet, or perhaps it is a messenger, whispering through the void. Perhaps it is a remnant of lost civilizations, or perhaps, one evening, in the near future, it will be the first irrefutable sign that we are not alone. As your lids become heavy, let the ideas soothe you rather than terrify you, because comets, whether they bring life, death, or secrets, remind us that we belong to something grand, something lovely, something worth of being dreamed. This is Midnight Disclosure. Sleep well and dream profound. The stars await.